Now let's finish out our epaulet. So let's add a little kind of star here. So to do that, we'll go to splines. Let's just add a simple star. And I'm going to modify this to match with kind of our theme on the badge and just change the points and make it a 7-pointed star. Let's change the radius. And we can change the outer radius a little bit too. Now to add the geometry, we'll just go to extrude, drop the star underneath there. Go to the extrude, and you can change the thickness of it if you want to. We can also go to caps, and let's change the fillet on this end cap. And then we can change the sort of the radius there to give it a little bit of more of a big bevel. Okay. Now we kind of looked at a couple of different ways of using these splines. When we actually created the epaulet, we created some nice clean geometry. When doing it like this, where you have these caps as n-gons, a lot of times you're not going to want to have those n-gons in your scene, depending on the pipeline that you're using. So there are different ways that you can come in and figure out how you want this cap created. So you can make those into quadrangles. You can change it to regular grid. It's not going to be the prettiest topology. You can also manually come in with your knife and draw out polygons the way that you want them. You can make it triangles. I'm going to go ahead and leave mine as an n-gon. Just be aware that that's an issue when you have this generated geometry. Sometimes these caps can be not ideal for working in a pipeline, so sometimes you may have to bake them down and draw across, but we'll leave them as they are for now. Let's just take this up. And also keep in mind when you're using these splines with the generators, you can move the spline too if you want to. Sometimes I just like to move the generator too just so it stays with it. It'll still generate the geometry, but the center of it will be off. And then if you want it to be centered up again, there's a couple things you can do, but I'll sometimes just use it to move the object around. The Cinema 4Ds, as you've seen throughout this course, the way that it works as far as parenting and the hierarchy is really kind of cool, where you can set up these relationships that create geometry in different ways, and then you have a lot of flexibility in determining how that relationship is affecting what it's actually creating. So thinking about things like the spline mask and the order of the splines and things like that. It's pretty cool. So we can bring this up to the side here on our little band. And in our extrude, I can give it a little bit more thickness. And oops, we actually bring that up a little bit. There we go. So Alt-A to dial it up just a little. Move it over. Let's rotate it. I'll just rotate it in screen space. I'll just set it kind of right on top of there. All right, and now we can take that and move it over. Now, we don't have a lot of these things named. Some of them we do, some of them we don't. But we want to go ahead and make a habit out of kind of naming these things, and we can call this maybe head sub D. So you can start to name the generators as well. You know, eyes, symmetry, just so it's very clear. You don't start to get a lot of, you know, duplicated things and things you don't really know what it is. Pants, sub D. Okay, so go through and start naming your objects a little bit better, and then we can also use symmetry to kind of copy this over. Okay, now one of the last things we want to do is add some sort of bumps to the head, and then we'll finish up by adding some materials. So let's do that next.